Quinten Dormady, what the H?
What the? What was he thinking?
Release the hounds.
The Dave Hooker Show.
Keep cool.
A presentation of OffTheHookSports.com.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're talking about a great resurrection for Quinten Dormady's career happening in the XFL. But to get caught handing over plays to opposing teams, if you haven't heard about this, dial your ears in a little closer here for just a moment. Because, Caleb, he was handing over plays to the other team. Now, you can say, oh, it's just the XFL. No. There is something to be said about a person that would undermine his teammates and his brothers. I don't care if you knew him for 6 weeks in the XFL or you knew him for 6 years in the NFL. It doesn't matter. This is highly disturbing, and it does make me wonder if there's any chance he did that at Tennessee, because if you'll do it at one place, you'll do it at another.
So let's be fair up front. He denies it, and he has technically been reinstated by the XFL since this happened. But yes, I think he did it because I don't think the Guardians would just cut him out of the blue. And I think you're the same way. You're right there with me on that. And let's go back and remember what happened in 2017. Josh Dobbs is gone. Quinten Dormady is named the starter. Dormady wins the first game against Georgia Tech, the luckiest win. They had no right winning that game, quite honestly. I'll never forget that. But Dormady actually played well in that game. Played like complete garbage 2 weeks later against Florida. Played even worse against UMass. Like, they barely beat UMass 17-13. Butch Jones then latched up.
UMass.
Yes.
I toured UMass with my son. I did not see a football field.
And
they may have one, but I didn't see it.
I mean, the next two, it was after UMass the following Tuesday where Butch Jones gave us all the lecture on this is what we expect from our media guys, and then proceeded to lie to us about Shaq Tuttle falling on a helmet.
And proceeded to berate reporters to the point that 2 of them got out of the business altogether.
Wow, I did not know that they got out. See, I wish I were in that press conference. I might have said something that got me fired back to his face, but so then they lose to Georgia 41-0. Bye week happens. Butch Jones wakes the switch from Quinten Dormady to Jared Garantano. I think it was a desperation move to try to set Garantano up to fail because it was starting Garantano at South Carolina. Keep in mind, this was South Carolina's best team under Will Muschamp, and Will Muschamp, whatever you think about him, was a great defensive coach at the time, had a pretty good defensive mind. And Tennessee's offense got inexplicably worse after the bye. Like, way worse. And you have to wonder if this happened.
Okay. So, yeah, it's fair to wonder, especially UMass. I mean, for goodness gracious, you should hammer UMass by 35 points if you're an SEC team. And other than maybe Vanderbilt, okay? So you benched Dormady to go to Garantano, right?
Right.
Is there a chance they found something out?
I was more under the guise of maybe is it possible Dormady was bitter about being benched and then he was given the playbook to other teams at that point?
Well, maybe we can just go ahead and throw out random speculation, which is fun. But when you do this, I mean, that follows you around forever. Somebody said that he could try to get a job at Target and this would follow him around. Yeah, it will. You Google him and it's going to follow you around forever.
Yeah, giving company information.
And Garantano have stayed for 9 years. The problem with this is I think if you would do it at one place, you would do it at the other. And here's the other thing. Now, I'm not saying he did it at Tennessee, okay? But the UMass game I always thought was weird. And I will say this. Butch Jones is the type of coach that instead of saying, wow, this is out there, you're off the team, you don't have to say he was feeding UMass the playbook or anybody else, but you get him off the team, right? But if you were to cut a significant player in the middle of the team, there would be questions. Butch Jones is the type of coach that would say, instead of being in on the quarterback meetings, we need you to go stand in that dark closet over there. That's what he would do, and he would cover it up. That's why this thing has legs at Tennessee. Butch Jones would never cut him from that team and throw him off, which any other coach that I have ever been around, from Lane Kiffin to Philip Fulmer to Derek Dooley to anybody, they would cut him immediately. Don't be around this team. That is disgusting. Butch Jones would cover it up to make himself look slightly better.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me that he would do that. I'm kind of with you. He probably would. Let's do the reverse. If we think Quinten Dormady did do this, Dave, would you really care if you were selling out Butch Jones's playbook to other teams? If you were playing for Butch Jones, do you really feel motivated to win for him?
That's the other thing. He was an abusive sociopath. Okay, so yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I've told this story with you before, but I had a player's dad call me and said, Dave, I want you to know the backstory in case something happens. This is kind of like a situation where somebody threatens your life or something. And you say, I want there to be proof if something happens to me that, something bad was going to happen. It was probably that guy. A player's coach called me and said he called him I'm not going to use the verbiage, a GD something during practice. This player is this guy's son, and said, we are very, very Christian, and we are very, very strong in our beliefs. And if he ever uses that language again, I'm going to be real honest with you. I don't know that my son's going to be able to withhold the anger. And if he gets charged with assault, I just want you to know that this is the baseline before it ever happened. And that's the type of guy that you wouldn't mind cheating on. That's the type of guy that you don't care to withhold and up, I guess prop up would be the best word. That's the type of guy, and that's who Butch Jones was.
Yeah, and ask his former assistants, many of whom have nothing nice to say about him anymore. I mean, he had assistants leave for lesser jobs all the time at Tennessee. It was a massive. Okay, so when Derek Dooley lost his staff members from 2011 to 2012, they were worried that they knew the writing was on the wall that he was going to get fired and they needed to find other jobs. You remember that whole staff coaching?
Yes.
Butch Jones was having staff members leave like on a rotational basis before then. From Mike DeBoer to Mike Bahayakin to John Jancic to Zach Kazani, and like almost all of them were lateral moves. Mike DeBoer was Butch Jones' offensive coordinator and then left to go become the offensive coordinator at Indiana. Who leaves for the same position at Indiana? Honestly.
Nobody. I thought that was a huge red flag at the time. Elias says if Jones had been coaching under current transfer rules, ... Well, I go ahead and tell you a lot of kids would have left. That's the ...
Kids left when he was there before the transfer rules. A lot of kids were leaving.
Yeah, that's your magic ellipses there.